Well, Jim, we are back. I don't have my synthesizer here, so let me give you a sound effect of some sort. We are back here another day of the drive-thru.
How about I'll give you a sound effect? There's my sound effect.
Mine was live.
That was for your sound effect for the AEW television program from Wednesday night, May 24th. For my general overall physical condition, I'm still malingering from the gout. Now I've got a sore knee. The knee that has no ACL is the knee that's attached to the foot that's attached to the toe that's got the gout. And I've been walking crooked for 3 days. That's bothered me. And the medication for the gout has interfered with and changed around the scheduling of my poopy habits. So now I'm ready to speak to you about this major announcement that was made last night. Go ahead.
Thanks, guys. Tony Khan made another announcement from the spaceship that he broadcast from. Seriously, it's weird. It has a different look than everything else on the show. None of the backstage promos are done on whatever this mystery set is supposed to be, or wherever this green screen is. It's just him.
He's on the bridge
doing these hostage statements.
Do you think, Shad? See, here's the thing. When I was a kid,
he's on the bridge.
Mama Cornette wasn't a billionaire. Mama Cornette was not a billionaire. So I had to make do. When I was a kid, when I was 7, 8 years old, Star Trek was on network television, by God. That's why the kids from our generation grew up smart. So we had Spock telling us what to do. And what I did was I spent about 78 cents and got a bunch of poster board and drew all the buttons and the screens and the graphs and the bells and the whistles and everything like you'd have on the bridge of the Starship Enterprise. And I took a 22-cent roll of Scotch tape. That's what it cost back in 1968. And I taped those things all over the bathroom wall. And suddenly, the bathroom became the Starship Enterprise Bridge. And that was hours of fun for a young man back in those days. And now, Tony, because his father's a billionaire, I'm wondering if he's built him his own life-size, full-fledged, possibly even working version of the bridge of the Starship Enterprise, Brian.
Well, let's continue this talk evaluating Tony's spaceship, and let's go back to your spaceship. Did you consult Mama Cornette while building this, while constructing this, or was she surprised what you were doing all day?
It didn't take me all day to do it, but she was surprised when she saw the extent to which I went. And there was almost no wall left by the time that I got anything that I could reach, at least. Let's put it that way. But nevertheless,
were you gonna wear an outfit of any sort? Like, did you have a Star Trek outfit that you had made?
No, I had a beret and a sash and a saber. That's where we got the original inspiration for the Cult of Cornette Fan Fest watchers. Keep everything honest there. You get the matching sash, beret, and rapier or sword or saber or whatever it may be in a scabbard. That's what they call those. Did you know that?
Well, I'm just very curious.
Did you know that little trivia?
I did not know that. I did not know that. But
goes in.
You said sword or saber. Does that mean swords are acceptable?
Well, the foils, if you're a fencer, foils, swords, sabers, machetes, possibly.
Oh my God, you see that teacher in the news right now with the machete?
No, were they using it, the teacher, Furris or Guinness?
This teacher in New York, I guess she went crazy on these kids who were I guess they were pro-life. I'm trying to think what the two options are. They were pro-life. She was ultra pro-choice, and I went crazy on them, and it got into the newspaper. And then when the New York Post went to her apartment to interview her, she came out and put a machete to the reporter's neck, and it's all on video. And then he's just like not moving. He's like, oh, okay, okay.
But now wait. But so did she actually whack anybody with the machete?
No, but she chased them.
Well, I thought that's where you were going with it at the start. So I'm relieved to know that it was only she was chasing people with a machete and putting a machete to people's neck. but she didn't actually sink one in.
No, she chased him out into the street with the machete. Luckily, there's video footage of all this, but...
Is this a New York thing? That it happens a lot? Is there a lot of machete crime up there, or was this just her particular weapon of choice?
Well, she may be into harvesting sugarcane. We really don't know, but let's go back to Tony's announcement on the dock of the spaceship, or the bay. I forget exactly where he was. The bridge.
Sitting on the dock of the bay. Watching the business go by. Is Tony Khan... Go ahead, Brian.
Well, Tony Khan, in as deliberate a fashion as he could without messing anything up, guys, wanted to announce that AEW Collision, and he announced that it will be in Chicago at the, whatever the pavilion is.
The
there.
United Center.
That's it. And the reaction in the room was kind of the interesting thing. And AEW audio is always weird, especially, some people... We'll watch it on one cable system versus another, and for whatever reason, it sounds different, or on a different streaming device. But you could hear a mixed reaction, it seemed like at times. You heard a CM Punk chant break out, but it was hard to really gauge. It wasn't a giant crowd, but it was hard to gauge what this crowd's, if there was a consensus reaction.
Well, and for a variety of reasons, this one is not a typical AEW crowd to begin with, because they were in Las Vegas, which they're in Las Vegas on Saturday for the pay-per-view is not sold out in Las Vegas. And again, I'm not trying to, it is funny at this point, and I'm not even trying to kick Tony in the balls or bust his balls, as Dennis Corluzzo would say. But they've sold fucking WrestleMania 3 numbers of tickets at Wembley Stadium, and they can't sell out less than a 10,000 seat building in Las Vegas in the States for a pay-per-view. But then they've done the TV taping the Wednesday night before that non-sold out pay-per-view in Las Vegas. I think it was a different building, wasn't it? And so that was the least from being full. There were some uncomfortable looking pictures of the crowd size that you couldn't see off camera or whatever, because and also the reports that I've seen on Twitter today, because now Las Vegas is on Pacific time, so the people apparently, the doors opened at, I guess, 3:00. They did Ring of Honor from 4:00 to 5:00, did Dynamite from 5:00 to 7:00, then did more Ring of Honor or something else from 7:00 till 9:00, or whatever the fucking case. They had a 6-hour event from time people came in to, or passed, more than from the time that they would be leaving if they stayed for everything. So depending on what was where in the night, people trickled and then dripped and then dribbled out. But
I'm sure if you stayed to the end, you saw some bangers.
Oh, good Lord. But that's the thing, is that so that is not a typical crowd, because it's Las Vegas to begin with, which is a little bit jaded. But then also it had to be more of the hardcore AEW fans, because it was a smaller crowd. And it was still mixed, and then you can't tell because Tony's, as you said, being beamed in from, the Klingon fucking brig.
Hey, I have it here if you want to hear some of that.
Okay.
Unfortunately, they've edited out "Thanks, guys," so it begins right after "Thanks, guys." So I'll do that, and then I'll press play. Thanks, guys.
It's great to be here tonight, where it all began for AEW, right here at the MGM Grand, right here in Las Vegas. And it's very fitting that we're here tonight where it all began to make an announcement about the start of a new beginning for AEW. AEW Collision, starting June 17th on TNT. Last week, we announced some of the cities for our opening tour, with events coming up in Toronto, Hamilton, Regina, Calgary, and Newark. But what we haven't announced yet is the location for the very first AEW Collision. The first episode of AEW Collision will take place Saturday, June 17th at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central on TNT from the United Center in Chicago, Illinois. I'm looking forward to a great show, and I'm sure you are too. It's going to be a big night of wrestling, and we have a lot to look forward to this weekend at AEW Double or Nothing. I'll see you this weekend. Back to you guys.
And you can hear a little bit of the crowd reaction there. And again, it sounds a little different with headphones on listening to it than it did on my TV. Sound a lot more positive than it did on my TV. But what do you think of what do you think of the reaction?
It was positive because the first reaction, as soon as he says United Center, the people that are waiting to like that instantly pop. Hey, but the people that were like, I don't like that, the United Center, they got to go ooh first to themselves, and then they go boo or whatever. But you saw clearly that the people, even that small crowd in that building, popped and were up for the most part for the announcement of the United Center, which in their minds, and it, again, you would say logically, something would be done, but that we're dealing with people who don't always do things logically and that make sense. But you would have to be completely clinically insane, and maybe that might not even be an exclusive qualifier for some of the people we're dealing with here, but you would have to be clinically insane to book the United Center and not produce CM Punk, because of the reaction that you would get not only live, as we've mentioned, the ultimate example of they would set the seats on fire, but also online. And because then it would be, well, they've suckered us into thinking Punk would be there, and they didn't produce him, and they don't want to do that. So we are pretty assured that Punk is back. But they didn't say that. That the announcement was of the location, but we still have not heard Punk's name or any public clue of how he will return or in what fashion, form, or with what motivation.
It's like Batman. You go to Gotham, you kind of know who's there. You say Chicago, that's all it takes. You say Chicago, everyone kind of figures it out. Imagine if Tony had done the opposite. We're going to start AEW Collision. We'll be coming up Saturday from Daly's place. They would have booed. They would have booed so loudly.
Oh, yeah. Because that's like, we're going to shoot this brand new network show in a closet. It was great for the pandemic, but as we mentioned, I think earlier in this marathon program, nobody before the pandemic at AEW had ever heard of Daly's place. And it's still not high on a sought after, television location shoot list. So anyway, so now it will be interesting to monitor the ticket sales of the following collisions from here that have been abysmal and reported as such, and have been the subject of much hand-wringing and, pearl clutching.
Is this AEW's first Canadian tour? Is it a tour? I don't even know if you call it a tour.
Well, is it a tour when you go one day and then you come back a week later to another place in the same country? I don't know.
That's true.
But the campaign possibly. I'm pretty sure they've been to Toronto. I'm pretty sure they haven't been to any of the other places in Canada. So yes, these would, I think, be first times. And from the advances that we've heard reported so far, they'd be last times unless they pick up, which one would think that they would now. Or maybe these people are going to wait and see, like, what the fuck? Maybe there's going to be another big blow up and we'll buy these tickets and he won't be there. So is this now because of the atmosphere that they have fostered with this revolving door of deals that are done, not done, whatever? Do the fans trust? Is there going to be another blow up? Are they going to go back to the old days where the fans start doing the last 2 or 3 days, the walk up will determine the house? Make sure that there's been no reporting in the press that my favorite star got in fucking fight in the locker room and has been banished to goddamn Never Never Land.
It's going to be interesting because You can't say there hasn't been damage done between AEW and their fan base since
to everybody's reputation.
Yeah.
Because it's not like that the Buckaroo Bonsais, the fan club out there, would have, if they'd have had their druthers, would have had their boys go through all of this. And many of them even said, well, you can't really defend it when they came back on TV and acted like 7-year-olds and made fun of him. So they've damaged everybody's reputation, as well as Tony's reputation as a boss in control of his environment amongst the wrestlers in the business, except those at the very lowest level who are just happy to be anywhere, not washing dishes, has to be at an all-time low, don't you think?
I mean, it's been there for a bit, but we've been talking about mismanagement and management issues going back to the beginning before anyone else wanted to look at any of that stuff. We said one day it's going to slap everyone in the face. And look at the last year.